It automatically. Anyway, so hello and good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Nainesh Modi from Gujarat University. Today we are going to talk about the scientific paper writing. See, scientific paper writing is generally a skill which a person can develop during the practice, or it can be developed by practice only. It is not a inherited art which can be generally given from genes or through birth only. You can also develop a very good art of paper writing, scientific paper writing, and I will try to explain the things which you should keep in mind when you are writing a paper. So let us begin with the first slide. Uh, is it one or more papers, right? So you can see the symbolic presentation that putting too much into one paper that makes it diffuse. Remember this thing, and less compelling than it is focus. So when you are putting so much of data in a single paper, that will create more confusion towards it. So first of all, we will discuss something about this, that the main thing we should focus on before initiating any paper is to target the topic. First of all, you just select the topic and target that topic. That is very important thing. Second thing, that we have worked dedicatedly, as we have worked dedicatedly for the particular project, and we should keep in mind that whatever work we have done must be focused, okay, and it must be reflected in your paper properly. That is very important. When you are writing a paper for a particular thing, the work you have done must be reflected in that paper properly. The third thing, that we should keep in mind that the more you have interest in collaborating the data, more you will give time, and you will end up in making a lengthy paper. You can understand, when your data is very lengthy, then paper is going to be lengthy because you have worked for more time. The length of your work or time which you have provided for the work is a little bit larger. In such condition, your paper will be lengthy, okay, and that lengthy paper will be rejected due to the length. So keep in mind these things, that the paper should not be much lengthy. It should be compact and to the point. Your entire work should be represented properly, right? Uh, so at first, give a glance at your data and partition it if it's too lengthy for a single paper. So you can divide the paper, doing only or publishing only one paper with a length. Instead, you should go for two very small, not very small, but a particular sized two papers. So your paper count will be increased. Second thing, there will be a less chance of rejection. And lengthy paper, you know that lengthy paper creates a diffusion amongst the result and discussion part. So if your paper is very lengthy, if you are putting so much of data in such condition, you will have to just reduce or cut short the very important part, and that is the result and discussion and conclusion. So for that, I suggest that keep your data up to a certain limit only. Do not increase the size of your paper. It should not be a lengthy paper. Okay, you are not publishing a dissertation or a thesis, right? A dissertation or a thesis also nowadays they have become shorter and shorter. You may have experienced these things. And moreover, it creates a dull impression on the reader's end also. If a journal, if it becomes ready to publish such a lengthy paper in such condition, the readers are not going to appreciate you. In most of the cases, your paper will not be generally appreciated by more number of people. So keep these things in your mind, okay? And the next we can, the very important thing that how to choose a journal. To selecting a journal, that is one of the biggest headache, because there are lots of journals, online journals available nowadays. And when we search for a good journal, uh, you will find different kinds of impact factors. They are just generally just to attract you, but they are not actual impact factors, which is actually considered worldwide. So remember this thing, to just to select a journal is a very important aspect, right? So for that, first of all, find out the is topic of my paper within its scope and format, whichever journal you have selected. First of all, select a good journal. Generally, we prefer Scopus, okay, then Web of Science, or sometimes Care List, UGC Care List. So out of this, you can select anyone, because these three things, or these the journals related to these three, they are generally appreciated by the different government agencies and the recruitment agencies only. Other journals, I don't know about the other states, but within our Gujarat state, we have such mechanism that Scopus, Web of Science, and the particular this UGC CAL listed journals, they are generally considered for that API counting, right? Uh, then you also see the journal which you have selected, right? Whether your topic that fits to the theme of that or scope of that journal or not, because different journals have different scopes and different format. Then you also just check that whether the audience which is generated by this journal, so does your topic match to the audience, whether it is able to attract the audience. Then if you are still confused, then ask your mentor or other senior researcher, okay, for the appropriateness. Then the important thing is the impact factor. You should also consider impact factor, whether the journal is having a good impact factor or not. The impact factors are also, there are so many impact factors available. Okay, many local journals, they just show a higher number of impact factors. But as I suggested, you should you should try for these three only. Okay, like Springer, Nature, they all are related to this Scopus and all three which I have already mentioned. And consequences of the wrong decision, that is also important. If you have if you have decided a wrong journal, right? In that case, three things. Okay, first of all, you will get frustrated. That is very obvious. Second, you have a big loss of time, correct? And as you are failure to publish, then you'll have to start again. So you'll have to start or find out a new journal, then start communication with them, then their answer, then you just send them different things which they ask. Again, reviewer whether it is going to be accepted or not, and so things. So the list is long. So better to, before communicating with the first journal, you should be very cautious about whether this journal or my topic is very much related to the journal audience and everything. Okay, so for that, first of all, you just check the anti-plagiarism. Second thing, within the, as we mentioned, the scope of the journal, and you must uh, check this whether the references bibliography, okay, that must be up to date. That is very important thing. When you go for a for publishing in a very good journal, the bibliographic work, reference work, that is very very important. You must remember this thing. Okay, so these things are should be considered properly, right? So first of all, uh, after doing this, many journals they ask you for any two reviewers with whom you want your papers to be reviewed. So for that, you just find out two good reviewers. Two good reviewers means find two of our peer reviewers who don't have a conflict of interest about peer review. So see, sometimes what happens, you select a known person or unknown person. We don't know which kind of work he is doing. If he is doing the same work, same kind of work, so there will be a conflict of interest. And in such condition, he may or she may just refuse your paper, or may raise many doubts and many questions. In such condition, you will get frustrated. So they will send questions after questions. When they will send few queries, as soon as you just solve those queries, they will send again new queries. So to select a proper reviewer, that is also very important thing. So sometimes only few of the journals they ask for the same, right? Uh, then we should go for the process of paper writing. If you have selected the proper journal, I would suggest, if you select a proper journal according to the need of your particular topic on which you want to publish the paper, go for that journal and read few papers, similar papers, before writing that paper. Okay, when you read few papers of this good journal in which you want to publish your data, you will get a proper idea where that which kind of work is generally published here, and actually what is the way to represent your work. So that is important before writing a paper in a particular journal. Read as many as possible papers of that particular journal related to your topic. Okay, this is very important suggestion. You should keep it in your mind. So, as you know, the writing a paper seems havoc, right? But trust me, it's of the easiest task. It is the easiest task because you do not have to remember anything. You have all the data, right? Just you should know how to represent. And how to represent, if you want to know, read as many as papers possible. Okay, if you follow the protocol which has been already given here, if you follow the protocol, it is a easy task. Don't afraid. Whichever journal is your dream, you will able to publish your paper. Remember this thing. So what we generally do is, one fine day we decide in writing a paper, and at night we end up. This is the common practice. When I was 20-25 years old person, I was doing the same thing, right? But that is a wrong practice actually. Starting in morning, ending in evening or night. So you will not have a good quality paper. Okay, clear? So first of all, you have to just change this habit. Okay. Uh, for that, you have to make a timetable. Okay, timetable. Prepare a timetable that after these days, this much days, I will for this much days I will concentrate on introduction, then this, then this, then this, then this. Okay. So outline, first of all, prepare a outline. Distribute task to your co-authors. You are not going to publish a paper solely, so you will have few co-authors. Just distribute some work to them. Each co-author will have some responsibility, right? And decide a deadline. Okay, after these many days, we'll meet again with our task, which is already assigned to each of us. Then just draft all files, analyze the result, and yes, you are ready to go. That's very simple. Okay, so you should go in this manner, right? So after so much of taking, so much of taking such a huge number of efforts, after few efforts, you should remember these things, that the let's make a paper that attracts the reader. That is very important thing. If nobody is going to read your paper, there is no meaning to just publish such paper, because nowadays paper publication is not free, as we all know. To publish a paper, you have to spend some money. So don't throw your money. Prepare such a kind of good paper that can attract maximum audience. Okay. Actually, a scientific paper is really a three separate papers. Now, these things you may have not heard, which I am going to discuss in this slide. A scientific paper is really a three separate papers. Okay. This fact is critically important when you set out to write a paper or to read one. See, these are the three different things. We generally call it three different papers because title is most important thing. Actually, that should be wrote in the end. But what we do, we generally form a title of the paper before writing it. Okay. Along in the published form, the title comes first. That is the published form. Okay, title is the first, abstract is the second, and the rest part, the entire body of the paper, that comes the last. The whole story comes the last. Right? This is the published form. But actually, when you are writing a paper, it should be the sequence should be reversed. Remember this thing. Suppose you are a reader. Okay, What do you want to form from a paper? What do you want from a paper? Right? In the entire, and it is now it's an ocean of papers. You can just surf on the internet. You'll find millions of papers available. Okay, so it's an ocean. Okay, your eye will only be stuck up to at a paper with attractive title, or title that first that fits your desire, right? So searching title is one kind of fishing activity. Okay, good. There is another shortcut. Okay, you will directly hop onto abstract or conclusion to see if the paper is worth reading or not. This is general practice. Remember, even I do the same thing. First of all, I will be attracted from a title. If title is very good, then I'll go for abstract. If abstract is good, or sometimes go to conclusion. So these three things are actually eye catcher things. If you can just prepare these three things perfect, then you can attract more number of audience or more number of readers. Okay, generally that abstract is a reader's digest. You whatever you have worked and whatever you want to represent, or you whatever you want to publish, that entire the entire whole thing, a sense of whole thing, that is the abstract. So that is important thing, right? uh, Again, further, how your citation, okay, readability, views, H index, and many more will increase, automatically increase, as soon as many as people start viewing and just citing your publication. All these things are going to increase. So let's design it like we are going to market our product. See, you have to market your product. It is not just paper and we have published and forget it. No, your paper, each and every paper is going to increase your H index. You should remember this thing. Okay. So what to write first? As I just mentioned in the discussing the previous slide, what to write first? Okay. In my opinion, my general suggestion to my students, always go for the body part of the paper first. So body part means the things which you just write, introduction and all those things. Okay, up to conclusion, even bibliography reference. Once you are done with your body, come to abstract. As we suggested, abstract is equally important and the title is equally important. And that is, abstract is nothing but a short summary of the entire work you have done. So as you have already wrote the entire body, everything is clear in your mind. Entire picture is clear. Now you just collect all the information and put into a small paragraph. That is abstract. And that should be very attractive, right? Then decide a suitable and effective title. Effective and suitable title. Remember, the title should be proper, effective, and suitable. So that will be a very important thing in your paper, because title attracts many. We have seen that sometimes a product, whether it is a common product, the same kind of products are available in market, but we generally got attracted by the name. Okay. So the same thing here, as I mentioned earlier, that you have to market your work. Okay. You have to just, everybody should get attracted where, which kind of work is this. So if you want to attract to people, you should have a good, very good title. Okay. How body of the paper in a typical journal. See, this is the common thing, that introduction, material, method. Sometimes just methods. Few journals, they do not use this title, materials and methods. They use generally methods. No problem. As I mentioned you earlier, that you should go through few papers of that particular journal. You will get the idea. Results. Next is the results. In results, few text will be there, tables will be there, figures will be there. You can use pie chart and everything. Discussion, acknowledgement, and literature cited. So this will be the sequence actually. Sometimes a number of journals, including some highly prestigious ones like Science and Nature, have very different format. This format is not generally found in each and every journal. This is a common format found in many journals. Okay. So we will focus only on this. Very high ranked journals like Science and Nature, they may have different format. Then if you publish few papers in with this format, then it will be easier for you to just switch over. Okay. So format of the paper is not very much important, where you generally start with the introduction, which provides the background. Okay. Right. Materials, method, that you, which kind of material you have used and which methods you have used. You have to mention all the methods and materials which you have used. Results are very important, as you know, that will explain your work actually. Okay. And discussion part, it's generally ignored. Generally it is ignored. Discussion is ignored most of the time, but it is most important. Okay. So we'll go for the next slide. Okay. And you must just remember this thing, that bibliography, that is a very important part. Okay. Very important part. Okay. Remember, you are writing a paper, not a novel. Remember this thing. Okay. If you have not provided a proper reference, there are more chances of rejection. Whichever thing you are writing, you should provide proper reference. References are very important. Remember. Okay. Now we'll discuss one by one. Broad scope. You can begin with the broad scope. Okay, and get progressively narrower, hmm, leading steadily to the statement of objectives in the last sentence or paragraph of the introduction. So these things are very important. You start with a broad area, then just narrow down, and bring entire audience to your topic. Okay. So generally we generally we do this in when we deliver a lecture in classroom. We start with the general talk and then bring our pupils to the thing which we want to teach them. So this is how we generally write down the introduction. Okay. Here in this thing, you should remember that objective of the article or review paper must be well explained. Okay, objective must be well explained in the introduction. One thing, the what we have already discussed. hmm, you should remember these things also. Draw audience in, be provocative, target journal specific audience. Different journals have different target of or different kind of audience. Okay, identify the gaps in knowledge, and with question and hypothesis. That is the key to attract more number of audience. Okay, so remember this thing. Then statement of objective, the key to whole paper. See, the key to whole paper, remember this thing. The last sentence or last paragraph of the introduction need to flow from the rest of the introduction and transition to the description of the materials and methods. It is critical that the goals and objectives be stated clearly and, if applicable, stated quantitatively. So, if the importance of topic and its implication with a recent development, you should remember these things. Okay, you have already identified the gaps. Okay, and with the question hypothesis we have already discussed. Okay, so these things you should remember properly. Okay, remember, 1 minute. So we'll continue. So this is one just example given for the objectives. First is the example which is not a good example. The purpose of this study is to see if there is a difference in the fish in three parts of this stream. That is not a good example. Instead, you can just do this. The overall goal of this study was to test the hypothesis that habitat complexity was positively correlated with fish species diversity and density. Specifically, we sampled the fish community and physical features in two habitats units in each of three reaches of stream, and also measured the microhabitat features where fish were caught. These data were used to. So you can see the difference between these two examples. Okay, the first thing which you generally used to write, that is not proper. Instead, that we can write in the manner which is mentioned below. Okay, so this is the things you should remember properly, and you should not, you should go for this only. Then the materials and method, or sometimes just methods. Okay, uh, specify, you just note this thing, that specify the reagents or material or instruments, basically all that was needed to do the work. Just mention all those things. Okay, then in materials and method, the parameters like what was done, you should mention this thing. Then you should also give the protocol, a particular protocol. If you have followed, then you have to mention that protocol and short summary of that protocol also. uh, then place of the research. Sometimes the place of research may be a particular laboratory, then you mention that particular name of that particular laboratory. Or sometimes it can be a field work or field study, then you mention that also. Okay. And not a narrative, as you might write to your friend describing your day, so it should not be in that way. Okay. Huh? uh, Generally we start writing like in that manner, that I was doing this, I was doing, not like that. Okay. Remember that you are not writing a letter to your friend. Then the method section. Okay. In this section you should mention the subheadings. Okay. uh, Focus on these things. Write clearly enough to be understood by non-technical reader and be replicated. And method section must be wrote in past tense. Entire method section will be in past tense. Okay, remember these things. Then this is one example for the methods and material. Standard length is used throughout. Terminology and methods for taking counts and measurements follow this and this. Okay. This is the method which was actually given by these two scientists, like that. Okay. The holotype is deposited in the collections of the National Museum of Natural and Cultural History. This is one example, remember. Here, Jakarta or Jakarta in Indonesia or whichever. Okay. Symbolic codes for additional institutions are those provided by Leviton et al. So you are giving the particular idea of the things. In this manner, you have to just go for the method and materials. Whole genomic DNA was extracted from skeletal muscle of the holotype of the new species, and three specimens of this, this, and this using the this DNA mini kit. Three outgroup taxa were chosen. So in this manner, you can write these things. Okay. Then the next slide is for the result. You can see results. Uh, Verbal description of the findings of the study as they pertain to the hypothesis and goals in order in which the hypotheses were posed. So this is the how you will write the results. So first of all, you will describe verbally entire things. Okay. Also put figures wherever they are needed. Okay. Tables as for the need. Okay. If you are discussing some particular thing and that data is discussed, then you put that data in form of table or figure. Okay. You should also go for the statistical analysis if it is needed. And remember these things. No interpretation, no comparison, just the facts with no editorializing. Okay. Remember these things. Just provide the facts, just facts which you have observed. Okay. Also, remember these things. Organize all the tables and figures properly. Uh, Also, you can present the tabular results selectively in text. Okay, the entire results should be written in past tense. Okay, no interpretation, just the facts. Tables should stand on their own. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि you cannot do that. Your tables are just telling something, and whatever you wrote, that is different thing. It is not allowed, right? And the next part is the discussion. That is the defensive part, right? I believe that discussion must be so precise and easy to understand. Okay, that even a graduate with non-science can understand the relevance of the work done. So that should be in such a precise manner. It's not that hard. First, try to begin with the interpretation of the data, okay, revolving around your specific objectives of the study. Then get the progressively broader, interpreting papers by others, ending with the concept used to start the introduction. So all in all, just defend your paper. Discussion is just defending your paper. Okay. Begin with the interpretation of the data with respect to specific objectives of the study, and then get progressively broader interpretive papers by others, ending with the concept used to start the introduction. So from where you started the introduction, you have to end up in the discussion. The introduction is beginning of introduction, and the ending of discussion should be in a proper context, right? So in discussion, the first paragraph, then you will answer the equation or hypothesis. Okay. Then a remainder part, that is the evidence, pro and cons. Okay. That will be again literature review also. Then strength and limitations of your study. Then implications of findings. Then other findings of your study. And last paragraph will be the conclusion. Right? This is a very important thing. When you are quoting a previously published work, refer it in a present tense. Hmm? Refer it in a present tense. And when you are describing your own study, refer to work in past tense. You should remember these things. Very important. Okay. That you are writing someone, or when you are quoting a previously published work, present tense should be used, and your own work, that will be in past tense. Okay, just I have just given an example. We tested a new antibiotic for strep throat, and in others work, penicillin treats strep throat. See, when you are quoting someone else, present tense, your own thing, past tense. Clear? Then the acknowledgement, only professional, not don't be emotional. Okay, you have to just acknowledge all those people you have, with those have helped you professionally. Don't get emotional and further this fellow. No, whoever person, whoever has helped you, just acknowledge them only. Here become little more professional. Okay, you can indicate sources of financial support. Okay, people who contributed with help in the field and or lab. with ideas, statistic analysis, etc. Okay, those who have contributed were less than those expected for co-authorship. Only professional, not emotional. Remember, okay, there should not be any person mentioned here, or your mother or your boyfriend or any one person. And if you end up being emotional writer, you will probably end up being the writer in this slide. See, this is this slide suggests many things. Then the literature cited or reference cited, right? That acknowledges the work done by others, allows the readers to learn more, and bolsters arguments and facilitates interpretation of results. Everything cited in the paper must be listed. Remember this thing. And nothing else. This is not a bibliography but strictly a list of relevant papers on the subject. Only the ones actually used in the paper. They must be listed in alphabetical order in the format specified by the selected journal. Sometimes different journals have different criteria. Just follow that criteria. Okay. Most of us never read a paper from start to finish. This is the common practice I want to mention. Read the title first, then the abstract, then the last paragraph of the introduction, then the first paragraph of the discussion. Look at the figures and tables. Okay. This is a brief synopsis. It's a mini paper like introduction, usually 1-2 sentences, methods, often longest part, results, discussion in limiting to the conclusion, concluding the statement. Like a paper requires many drafts, most oriented to presenting arguments, okay, consciously. And this is the end. We will end with this thing, okay. And hope you mm, now you are ready with the uh, paper writing skills, right? So these was the things which I wanted to mention, okay, in this many things which generally come with the practice only. Remember, nobody can teach you how to write a paper. These are the things which should be remembered or considered properly. As soon as you start writing papers, you will start learning things day by day, because reviewers generally uh, they generally, you don't know who is reviewing your paper, okay. So there will be no influence of yourself. Only you can influence a reviewer by writing in a proper way, which most of the things which I have mentioned. One important thing which I want to repeat, and that important thing is, before when you are start writing a paper, when you are beginning to write a paper, before beginning, just go through few papers of same kind from same journal. For selecting journal, as I mentioned, we generally focus on three things only, okay. Your criteria may be different. I'm not uh, canvassing anyone. Remember, I mentioned the names of the uh, journals which I prefer. I may be wrong. There may be more precious journals in market because I am man of science, and whichever things which are considered here more, I have mentioned those things. It is not compulsory that your institution or your you may be from the different line. You may be from the management part, or you may be from the commerce part. Okay, your linguistic. You may be from the economics. So there will be some other criteria for selecting journal. So for that, you can ask your seniors or your mentors. Your professors are, in most of the cases, they are very helpful. So select a proper journal, then read few papers of the same kind, and that will just clear your path. And just remember the things which I have already mentioned to you. And I hope you will be able to publish good number of papers with good quality. So I end up with these things. Uh, I hope you have learned many things. Okay, thank you very much.